Guys, we have Dean with us today. He was a customer long time ago. About how long ago?
Guess that was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. It was way before.
Pre-pandemic, actually. Right around the same time, yeah.
Yeah, we've been close friends before that, and after that, it's been
Ever since.
more of
It
a
only
friendship
helped
closer.
our relationship.
Yeah. So I know you're big into crypto.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into that industry?
Oh man. I actually kind of forgot the whole story and how I really got started in crypto, but I have a friend who always told me that even back when I was in college, I was talking about Bitcoin. So this was 2011, 2012. Apparently,
Oh, wow.
I was talking about crypto and Bitcoin. And I mean, that's the early age of the industry in its beginnings. I mean, Bitcoin was probably the only cryptocurrency at the time. I know I saw a post that I did on one of the original Bitcoin forums, and I had a post trying to physically buy Bitcoin in Boston in 2012 on a forum, and it actually came up in an interview because it's a public forum. Someone probably typed in my name or my email address, and an interviewer, it was a coworker then eventually, said, "Yeah, I found you on this Bitcoin forum. Do you want to talk about cryptocurrencies?" And it was in an interview for a currency trading position at Bank of America, so it helped me get the job.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe it helped me I don't know if it helped me keep the job.
I mean, that comes with other things.
Well, I know at that job I was talking more and more about Bitcoin and crypto, and I think at the time the bank really didn't like crypto because they saw it as a threat, and I think a lot of the higher ups in the department didn't see crypto. They saw crypto as a threat to the dollar, to the stabilization of global economics, you could really say. Yeah. So they didn't. I don't know if the natural opinion around crypto was very positive at the time within Bank of America. Yeah. So I don't know if me talking about crypto was good for my career at the time.
But that's what helped you get your foot in the door.
It was a confusing period. I think, that was when most people didn't know. I don't even think I fully understood the point of crypto at the time. I just saw it as this new fancy investment. And, I was a finance major at the time at Northeastern University in Boston. And it was a new financial asset. And when has there been a new financial asset in the finance world other than options, maybe back in the 70s? So 40 years since a new asset really came out, or maybe mortgage-backed securities, you could even say, coming up into the 90s and 2000s.
But that wasn't even nothing new. It's like houses existed, oil had existed, corn or anything that's backed by the futures.
Sure.
Everything had existed, but Bitcoin was a new investment and a new thing that was invented that solved so many inefficiencies with our financial system.
Yes. Again, and there's still many use cases that have yet to be proven out of crypto. Still have to unfold. But yeah, so I mean, I was interested in crypto back in 2011, 2012. I have two brothers who are also in the financial industry, both of which are programmers by trade. Or just backgrounds in general. They understand programming, obviously, which is instrumental and very critical in the cryptocurrency world, and in DeFi and all those little niches that crypto has to offer. So I know crypto was talked about in some of these niche communities. I don't know if you heard of the decentralized communicational platform called IRC back in the day, but it was talked about then in some of those chats, and that's where one of my brother Luke, he heard about it back then, and he shared as much information as he learned about it with me, and we just slowly were investing over the years. And I'd say up until when I met you, we met probably 2016, 2017, around there.
Yeah.
Through a mutual friend. And yeah, it was just slowly building. And I left Bank of America in 2017 to really focus on managing my brother in our cryptocurrency portfolio, which was mainly Ethereum, Bitcoin at the time, since those were the main two. We kind of stayed behind them, and we didn't get fancy. We just held on. We held as long as we possibly could. And that has definitely paid off.
Yeah. I feel like with a lot of stocks and other investments, there's a lot of trading going on and a lot of activity compared to what the best investors do with crypto. It's just buy it and hold.
I mean, that's the day old strategy: buy and hold, and sell at a higher point, buy low, sell high, right? And you hope that it always just keeps going up. I mean, that's what investments are made to do, to appreciate in value. That's the selling point of them. And yeah, you could say if you made any decision to sell any of your crypto in the last 5 years, was it a good decision? I mean, today is August 30th, 2024. Price of Bitcoin's around, call it 60,000 today. And yeah, the all-time high was around 70, but 60 ain't so bad either. So if you held on from 2016, 2017, 2018, when it was really talked about and really started to get into public domain of easily accessible to buy on Coinbase, set up an account, put in your bank account, have it withdraw, have a ledger, or on the other side waiting to receive it. I mean, nowadays you can keep money on Coinbase and feel pretty confident, given it's a public company, that you can hold on to your funds there up to a certain point. But yeah, I feel like 2017, 2018, if you held on since then, you're looking good now. If you made any decision to sell, might not have worked out.
Yeah, hopefully it wasn't a big part of your portfolio if you sold.
Well, given I mean, prices weren't always this high, back in 2017, 2018, when I wasn't working and really focusing on just really digesting all everything that came out of whatever news source you could possibly get your hands on, to why the prices were going up and down back then. Yet we had to sell to live. So I mean, like, there were time periods where it was low, or there were time periods where it was high, and I was stashing away into a savings account so I could have for a time period. But I mean, the prices back in 2017, Bitcoin was only anywhere from
was 20,000.
Anywhere from 1,000 to 20,000. So I mean,
it went like that from about 1,000 to 20,000 in those 12 months.
Right.
Because I started looking at it when it was about 1,000.
Right.
And then in 3-4 months, it shot up to 5,000. It's like, what the heck is this?
Right. So I mean, you were making significant gains, but even from then to now, it's way more significant. So I regret selling anything before those days, but I had to live, so I had to sell some, and it's hindsight's always 20/20, sure. And looking back, I had to do the sales to live, to put food in my stomach and keep the bills paid, but yeah, holding definitely paid off.
Yeah, I know my first investment, I would have never thought, because I started learning about investing through stocks and Warren Buffett,
right,
and his ideas, but the one that interested me the most at that time, and the one that I saw the most growth because of the idea behind it and all this mathematical rules that was the basis of this new money, it's like, wow, this is incredible. It's like, there's no inflation, it's designed to grow, it's limited, no government or company has its hands on it and can manipulate it. It's like, I want in on this.
Mhm.
Like, I see a lot of growth long term. And so I remember my first purchase was $200. And at that time, I was watching it every single day. It was like my Bible before I went to bed, when I
Yeah.
woke up. And I'm glad I learned as much as I did during that time, because after that peak was a very tough time where it went down and we didn't know when it was going to stop.
Right.
It went from 20,000 all the way to 3,000 something.
Right.
So that understanding of that technology is like, I want to buy more. I want to keep buying. So
Yeah, I mean, the price is one thing, sure, but also I think there's a lot of, I mean, we could also talk about some of the technological like advancements within Bitcoin since 2017. I mean, the Lightning Network, they're trying to make scalability happen within Bitcoin so that more transactions can happen at a faster speed. That's always the goal with a lot of these cryptocurrencies and programmable money. It's how fast, but also how safe can it be at that speed. So I know there's a lot of technological barriers. Like Bitcoin can only send, I think it's 7 transactions per second, is it per minute?
I don't know. I know each block is created every 10 minutes.
It's okay, yes, per minute. So yeah, it's per minute. And
Yeah.
Ethereum, I think, is like 3 times that. Naturally, given some of the differences from proof of work to proof of stake. And then something like, some of these other proof of stake ones like Solana, Cosmos, or there's plenty to name. They're a lot faster because it's like an instant ledger basically. That just proof of work needs to be mined. There's the whole mathematical equation behind it, where all these computers all around the world are trying to solve these block calculations in order to get the prize, right? With proof of stake, it's kind of just like a ledger system where it just gets updated, and then it comes out of your account, goes in the other account, it's updated, refresh, settled, essentially. So for something like Solana, where it's super fast, there's differences, and that's where it's pick your horse, essentially. Which one do you want to invest in? Something like Bitcoin is inherently more stable, and the price shows. The price is less volatile in something like Bitcoin versus Ethereum proof of stake, or Solana proof of transaction. I think it's actually called proof of history. It's another term for that. But the proof of work is like in crypto, like the proven one.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of computers all around the world checking each other's work, essentially.
Yeah.
With proof of stake, it's like an internal updated ledger that is verified, but there is something out there has to change it, and that can go wrong or get hacked or whatever. Something can go wrong in that situation.
Yeah, a lot of them have been hacked before.
Right.
Even, was it Ethereum that got hacked, or was it the copy of Ethereum? What's it called?
Ethereum had a DAO hack back in that was a long time. What's that?
The fork.
Was that 2017? Yeah, they had the fork, and that's when
Right.
Ethereum Classic came out.
Yeah, that's the one I'm.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Ethereum that got hacked or.
Well, it was Ethereum, and then
Classic.
Ethereum had to fork because of the DAO hack. Someone hacked this
okay.
DAO, a decentralized asset organization. They were trying to organize like an automated investing pool.
What's a
within Ethereum.
DAO?
Decentralized asset organization, basically an autonomous like investing asset organization.
Like an AI of
It
investing?
it can also be people. Think of it like an HOA, a digital HOA. You have a whole bunch of people in an organization who need to make decisions. So a lot of times could just be voting, but there's just there's decisions that get made in order for an organization's mission to go forward. You could think of it also as easy as a booster club.
I don't know what a booster
A
club
booster
is.
club, like votes need to be happen, but there's a mission. Think of it like, okay, like you have a varsity football team. A varsity football team has, a lot of things that need to happen around it, like, jerseys and some of the other clothes that needs to be organized and bought. And who is that booster club? So a lot of times it's made up of the parents of the varsity team, but like think of it then like an HOA where it's the members of the community who need to vote on landscaping, on whatever needs to be done for that organization. That is like a decentralized asset organization, a DAO. It's kind of like a booster club or like a HOA, how an HOA manages a building and what needs to be done.
Okay.
And a DAO is just essentially like an organization that could be for a numerous amounts of interest groups or whatever needs to be done. I think an HOA is like a homeowners association. So like if you have a neighborhood of like townhomes and they have like a group of like an area of grass or like landscaping that needs to be done, they all probably vote on who to hire, what needs to be done, how much to pay, how much to charge each person in the HOA.
The incrementals in fees.
Yeah. So
Did they ever vote on decreasing fees?
in Ethereum.
No, in HOAs.
Oh, an HOA. Well, sometimes it's out of their hand, I guess. Maybe if prices are going up for landscaping,
You can't
HOA
go
is
down.
going on. You can't go down. Yeah.
Prices don't go down of anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's why we're trying to get away with Bitcoin. The price is going up, but if the price of Bitcoin goes up faster, so the price of everything goes down for you if you're paying in Bitcoin.
Right.
So that's how you can free yourself of that inflation that people who don't have Bitcoin or cryptocurrency cannot. There's no possible way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the international aspect of it. The fact that it's an investable currency is the price of Bitcoin will grow and hopefully offset inflation around the world as it outpaces inflation. Essentially, inflation is a really tricky subject to even explain. It's something as simple as the prices are just going up, but why it's happening, it's really hard to define, and it's the battle we all deal with for our pockets throughout our lifetimes.
Yeah, it's very complex to maintain like the U.S. has done around 2%.
Right.
They've done a pretty good job, but
Right.
COVID happened and then they had to screw that, forget about the 2% rule.
No, they're actually they're still sticking back to it though. They're coming back to it. They are, and I think the ECB, which is the European Central Bank and the governing body that maintains the euro and the eurozone's monetary policy, they actually have achieved 2.2%. I think it was this past quarter. So there are central banks around the world that are actually achieving the 2% goal. And I think the Fed is still going to stick to their 2% goal. And it's been talked about, should they up it to 3? And I think if you're someone who likes sports, if you have a goal, you should stick to it. Right? And you should. The goal is that their 2% is their championship, and I think you should always shoot for lower inflation.
Yeah, I wonder where that 2% came from. Who calculated? I am pretty sure.
I've been trying to think why 2% for a very long time, and it's
I never thought of this before.
1% might be that much harder.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, and why not 3% or yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really crazy. They went from 2% to 10 times that, 20% during COVID, and they did it so quickly.
Well, you mean it happened?
I mean, but I think they were forced to do it. It's I don't think it was calculated let's put it at 20%.
No.
There's just, we have to put money in the market because nobody's spending, nobody's traveling. It's we have to simulate it somehow.
Right.
And most of it, the people with better mentalities or know how to invest most of them put it into stocks and investments. They didn't put it into the market of buying groceries or electronics.
Right.
But that also helps those companies who benefited from higher stock prices. And that's the market. It's part of it.
Yeah. I mean, you just mean like the inflation around COVID in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it, I think a big part of this inflationary happening that just happened over the last 5 to 10 years. You could say that the war in Russia, really offset a lot of the energy trade all around the world because the Eurozone was heavily relying on Russian natural gas to warm their homes in the winter. So when the Russia-Ukrainian war happened during COVID, it was kind of like a double whammy of inflationary pressures for necessity goods and assets all around the world, such as food, which I mean, the Ukraine is the largest supplier of wheat in the Eurozone.
Mm-hmm.
So
in the world, it's like
in the world, overall, you're right.
yeah.
I thought they were
I had
over in
no
the world.
idea before that. It's like
So you have natural gas being pressured, you have wheat being pressured, and all these showed in financial markets. If you looked at some of the asset prices over COVID, gas price in the Eurozone was going up like fivefold.
oh wow, it
Yeah.
went up that much.
Yeah, if not more. It's come down, but it was really a really touchy subject for a while.
Wow.
But after I think once, what's the word? Smarter heads around the world realized that Russia wasn't as big of a threat to, I guess, democracy in general around the world, that their war effort in Ukraine wasn't as powerful, I think, as the U.S. and other countries around the world may have expected. I mean, Russia is very much a dark zone country,
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like we didn't know what they were capable of. But I think the U.S. is kind of saying that Russia isn't capable as much as before. So I think that's why inflation was able to really stabilize as quickly, especially in the Eurozone. Ukraine is truly holding their own.
Yeah, I'm surprised how long they've been able to hold and
with
progress.
U.S. ammunition and supplies.
Yeah,
Sure,
the U.S. is given the most money and the most ammunition.
and that's still a
No
small
doubt.
part to the inflationary subject in general. You and now back to just in general COVID. Like, what did COVID do to inflation? A lot. A lot. If, for instance, stock prices went down. I mean, there was. Yeah, it was a really interesting time.
Mm-hmm.
You can say that asset prices were all over the place because the stock market wasn't really in a super growth period because of COVID, and people weren't spending, so stock prices weren't going up. Corporations weren't making as much money as they were. But then inflation happened, and assets prices went up. So then corporations, were they making more money, or are the numbers on the income statement just higher because what they're selling is a higher price?
Mm-hmm. There was
And
just so much money in the market. Help to companies, help to consumers.
So earnings were better because sales numbers were higher. But were sales numbers just higher because of inflation?
I think that inflation, when it started to feel in the grocery stores or in the gas, that's when it's like started to go down. But inflation, it's like you can't tell what it is from day to day. It's like you have to wait for the numbers to come
Right.
up, and
Right.
like,
It's
a
hard.
lagging
And,
measure.
We're
Yeah.
just two guys.
Yeah,
We're
it's
trying to
like-
figure it all out, just like everyone else out there.
How
Just
do-
like all the talking heads
My
on
big
TV.
question is like, how do they determine the 2%, and how do they maintain it at 2%? It's like
hard.
with there's different banks, and
Yeah.
they
It's-
just
it's-
measure the data from the central banks. They can't measure it from the private banks.
No, they can't. They get daily reports. When I was
From-
working at Bank of America, one
Okay,
of the
yeah.
departments I was working at was a regulatory reporting. So we would report to the SEC, to FINRA, some of the other regulatory bodies around the country, the daily holdings, a lot of information,
Daily?
profit loss, daily.
Oh, wow.
At one point it was weekly, but towards after the recession, it went at 08 recession.
Uh-huh.
No, this was 08 up until about when I was working there was 2014. So basically, they started to move to a
changed.
daily report that they would be sending.
So they do
The-
have the
Every
goals.
all the big banks have a specific department called regulatory reporting, where they report to the financial regulatory bodies on a daily basis the holdings of the bank, the interbank,
How it's doing,
and
how-
counterparties, who they owe money to, things like that.
Oh wow, I didn't know. I thought it was like they do a earnings report or something like that.
Well, they do that as well.
Yeah,
that's
but-
more for like that's public. That's a public statement.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well, they
couldn't
get
tell
to the
you
pro-
these. I couldn't tell you this information,
Mhm.
when I was working there because it was private.
Yeah. Very privileged. Okay. I didn't know that governments had so much Bitcoin. I keep
Yeah.
reading these articles that
A lot of it's confiscated Bitcoin.
Yeah.
A lot of it's
from Silk Road and from other
Right.
places.
right.
I thought it was Germany that had like $2 billion.
A lot of it's from
And-
like criminal activity.
That they're trying to sell.
Yep, and
Mm-hmm.
they're getting in the buying and selling game apparently.
Yeah, it's like I don't get why they want to sell it. Well, guess for countries, it's not good to have dirty money that's proven to be dirty money.
Right.
But consumers wouldn't mind having something that's could be dirty, but it goes up in price and it's totally legal.
Yep.
And the U.S. is trying to sell like $500 million, and I think China was trying to sell some as well. So they're trying to say that like there is gonna be a dip in the market because of the selling pressure, but since there's big money and not everything is done over as OTC, it's totally different. I don't know how the government sells that money, if it's at the market
They
price.
probably just work with someone at Coinbase. It's probably not as complicated as it sounds. They probably just have phone calls, right?
They have to have a regulated system. It's
Yeah,
not just-
I'm sure some executive within Coinbase probably talks to them. They're actually, I think now they're going after Kraken. So if you have money on Kraken, I'd be careful.
Uh-huh.
I know the SEC is just starting to open investigations into their trading or doing of the last few years.
Yeah.
So
They're trying to hit every single major exchange. They're
They
not going
should.
to the little ones.
they should just go through and just look at and just straighten them up and then just see which ones are good, see which ones are
Yeah, that's great for us.
bad, and then it's good for the consumer. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always dealt with Coinbase, but I would love to see competition. I would love to see another brokerage and there's like crypto.com and some of these other ones. What Gemini is another big one.
Yeah, they got sued too.
Yeah,
had to pay some
they
money.
but I would love to see some of these other exchanges go public because it's only better for the consumer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With credit, most people think it's only three: TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. But there's a bunch of other companies that have credit-related information or credit reports only. But most banks, most federal credit unions, only check those three
Mm-hmm.
because it would be too much to check 10.
Right.
Like if you just having three, and there's always, like you were just telling me, that there's one that's higher and one that's usually a lot lower.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for houses, they try to do the middle score,
Mhm.
not the lowest one, not the highest one. So the goal there is to have them as high as possible, all
Right.
three. So it's like it's not really hurting, and you're not getting less benefits if they're choosing middle one.
I guess the main question I have here is why is one lower? Is the score calculated differently for which one's usually lower? The TransUnion, right?
The one that's lowest is the one. So banks choose where they report the information.
Okay.
Some banks don't like to report it to TransUnion or Equifax.
Oh, okay.
Or so because there's fees.
It is different within the relationships within each bank.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Like some banks only check Equifax when you apply, or TransUnion or Experian. So based on how much information is reporting on each individual credit union, credit bureau, is what determines the score. It's the data that's there.
Right.
And even though all, let's say Wells Fargo has relationship with all three credit bureaus, but for some reason that I don't get why, there's different information for every account on each bureau. It's like the bureau changes something. They're not supposed to, because it's only one data source. It's coming from Wells Fargo,
Yeah.
and they send it the same way through eOscar to all of them. So it doesn't make sense for it to be different dates, different amounts.
Right.
So, but it happens, and that's why we have differences in scores. Like I know for me, HSBC was not reporting to one of my credit bureaus. And so I had less credit, less age because of that.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it doesn't really affect that much.
So there really is no like this one's always low, the lowest score. It's just relationships.
Yeah, it changes from person to person
Got it.
depending on
Yeah,
which banks.
the business relationships. Just whatever banks don't work with whatever credit agencies.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
That's
and sometimes there's weird things that I've seen CD report to all of them, but for some people, they're not reporting to one business or they're not reporting at all for some weird reason. So, yeah. Credit is tricky and confusing, even to somebody who's like, I've been learning it because I enjoy it. I like numbers. And sometimes it goes up for nothing and it comes down because you did something that's good.
Right. Yeah.
Like when I send the dispute letters, sometimes it activates old accounts and they start having a heavier weight on your score. But then that goes away within a month or 2 months. Yeah, and nothing changed. The account is just as negative. It's not more negative. It's just more recent. So
because you're looking into it, they that's interesting.
yeah.
The score goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to. It's illegal to change that day of last activity.
I'm wondering what the rationale or the thought behind that is.
It's just errors because there's some human involvement in that.
Because your name came up in their system, your score went down. And they can't explain why.
Because you sent a letter and they did an investigation and they fat finger something. Oh, he made a payment or he made something. It's like, no, it's just a dispute asking you to investigate because that's his right to ask for that investigation.
Interesting.
Yeah. What have you learned through us that you now know it's false that you used to hear
About credit. That no debt is good. That's a question that I guess that's my myth. A myth. How about that? How about that? Is no debt good?
So all debt is bad.
All debt is bad.
It's all debt bad. I'd say no, because one of the biggest benefits is that it lowers your taxes. Let's say you buy a plane or a car. Let's say a car. Most people buy cars. And you can depreciate that on your taxes.
Okay.
If you do it on your business. It's like the car value went down this much. So that's
if it's
a
business car.
If it's
Okay.
Yeah, if it's through a business.
Okay.
Yeah. People don't have these protections for taxes.
What about I can't just depreciate my car on my taxes.
Yeah, or your house or any
as a private
anything else.
Private
That's why most of the biggest tax benefits go to businesses. But you have a business. Everybody has a business, whether they know it or not. It's like
I guess another way to look at that question is, can you use debt to profit?
Okay, so let's say you buy
because if it's a bad thing, that's one thing. But look at the other way. Can I use it for good? Say I'm in a no debt situation, and I want to, or you're in a debt situation, but your rate is really good. should you take on more debt, get into debt with something that could maybe earn you profit?
Yeah, that's when I say it's good as long as you know what you're doing and you're
Right.
eliminating risk by learning and understanding how things work.
Sure. I would imagine just say it's like a second home, like an investment property. You know, that's probably the best way use case probably for debt in most common, at least. I would say most common, not best. But yeah. But just being a responsible homeowner on the other side, maintaining, or if you have to rent it out, or that's the business side to it as well.
Yeah, because you can buy it, live there, and have a part of it rented out, and that pay your mortgage.
Right.
And you're living for free.
Right.
So yeah, or let's say you're a busy businessman and you're traveling all the time, and the more conferences that you have, the more money you have, the more clients you have. So the better transportation, like if you buy a plane, that'll be able to make you more money and lower your taxes because you can depreciate that amount.
Interesting.
And there's an opportunity cost with that you can benefit as well.
Cool. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So, but if you did it with your personal money from that's in your checking account, you can depreciate it.
Right. So if you use cash, basically.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
So it's better to ask for loans, getting that.
And that would, and then you could say if you have a portfolio of investments, you know, or you know, instead of using your cash or using all other investments you have, selling your investments to go into debt, or versus going into debt. Going to debt is better if you're making an income that you can also depreciate against your taxes, and then also still being able to pay the interest. Yes.
Yeah, because you can buy houses or anything in a LLC, be protected. If you get sued, the business doesn't get sued, you don't lose anything, and you get all these tax benefits. That's why, like, Amazon, the biggest of the biggest, like, do to not pay taxes to the government and reinvest everything. Because if you invest, you're not technically profiting. So
Right.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah. What was some of the results that you saw with their credit repair service?
The credit repair service. I know you did a handle dispute for me. So I know some of the marks on my credit report did come off, which was great. And I know my credit score has since gone up a tremendous amount. I mean, there was a lot that went into that, you know, the ability to handle my bills more, budgeting on the other side as well, obviously, changing lifestyles, you know, whether it was I cook a lot more now, you know, little things that, you know, that trickled into my bank account, allowed me to pay my bills, allowed me to, you know, not have missed payments on any of my loans at the time, and you know, the more budgeting, more money into investments, more money in investments, staying in investments over the course of years, appreciating into higher asset values. You know, I mean, there's only, you know, intelligence that goes into saving money and investing. There's no, I mean, sure, you could say you picked the wrong one looking back 2020, but you know, in almost all these investments over the course of decades, or even one decade, 5 to 10 years, you're making money.
And even if you lose from those bad investments, you learn a lot, because when it hurts is when you're like really paying attention.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone has their mistakes in finance and in investments. Even the workers that work in the industry, you know, they learn from their mistakes, and Everyone who has a private portfolio, whether it's just on Robinhood or I'm sure sold too early, bought too late, whatever it was, you know, it only makes it's not going away. The investment market's not going away. Financial institutions are not going away because of cryptocurrencies, in my opinion. I think it's all going to blend together somehow. And it's good to pay. It's good to learn from your mistakes, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the biggest mistakes that I remember when I was doing my CDL to drive trucks, the Amazon was supposed to be paying for the training, but there was a delay in the payment, or the school didn't understand that Amazon was going to pay at the end, and the school was pressuring me to pay. I was like, I can't. I only have, and mentioned, I didn't even have to mention that I had Amazon stocks. Like, whoa, sell that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I really thought the Amazon wasn't gonna pay or something, and I ended up selling my Amazon stock that was around $500, and I had 6 at that time, and now they're like $2,000 or $3,000, and I wish even if I would have sold it, I would have bought it back, but I got that for free for being an employee after 2 years.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, when people tell you that you have to sell stocks, in those situations, don't do it. And if you do it, buy back. But that's hard when you sell to buy back. That is the hardest thing to buy back. After
at a later point, it's like you're always just like, oh, it's too. I missed the boat.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not getting back in.
Yeah, I can never do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at most of these popular stocks that most people talk about or cryptocurrencies, the appreciation is what they're made to do. It's like there's a reason why there's top stocks out there, and why they continue to be successful, because they're the best businesses with the best investing into their employees, into their resources, into everything around the businesses. And investing is cool. It's fun. It's a life journey.
You have some questions for me that I texted you on your phone?
Oh, okay. You want me to ask you those?
Yeah, just a few.
You want me to ask you questions?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. So say I was a new client. I know you offer credit report, analyzing. What other services do you offer that behind my credit that can improve my score quickly?
So after analyzing someone's credit, I can see whether it's best to fight negative accounts, or they need some building of accounts of their credit, or they need to pay some debt or pay the debt differently. Also, the main reason to improving the credit score is to improve the finances. If you improve the credit score but you don't use it to improve your finances, you're not using this great tool.
Okay.
So I only focus on the credit so that we can get better loans instead of the ones that you have, or if you're gonna get new ones, so that they're at a lower rate with better terms, and you have more money in your pocket.
What tools or skills can you help teach around improving your finances? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So budgeting, and I would say the main thing is looking at yourself in 10 years, and how do you want Dean to be? What type of lifestyle?
Right.
How do you want to be fit, emotionally, career-wise, and making your decisions based on that idea that you're building.
Right. I agree with that statement. I mean, I feel like, even though finances are numbers at the end of the day, it's a lot of, I always look at the stock market and finance as the history of humanity and the advancement of humanity through numbers. You know, it's like, what has man done and improved to make our lives easier, to have it be more fulfilling and more enjoyable. You could look at it like the advancement of technology, and you're right. You know, how can I use my finances? How can I use my budget to make myself happier, and what lifestyle changes do I need to make in order to pay my bills, even so. And a lot of that I learned working with you, and it's something I know, being your friend, I see that you do on a daily basis, is really focus on maintaining a healthy lifestyle, because with a healthy lifestyle comes cooking. Cooking is better than eating out every day, or in something like limiting drinking and limiting whatever else you're doing in life, whether it's going out too much, in some sense. Yeah, definitely the budget and the finances, it all really kind of comes full circle with, having a good financial portfolio and a good mindset.
Yeah, there's one thing that Kobe taught me, that health comes first.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no matter how much money you have, if you
Right.
don't have health, you're like in a prison.
Right.
You cannot enjoy what you have.
Mm-hmm.
The freedom that you've built and sacrificed for, you can't enjoy it if you don't have health. If you're not feeling good, if you can't get out of bed, if your mind is not right and you're thinking dark thoughts and you are in them and you're believing them, you can't enjoy your money, your wealth, or just having a bed and being able to walk free and enjoying the day. So that comes first, and there's no substitute. It's non-negotiable to take care of that first,
Mm-hmm.
because money helps and it can buy you happiness until you have like $70,000 per year, according to science. But after that, there's not much.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it helps
I've seen
this
that.
little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right. And,
It-
and if you're in a healthier mindset or in a healthier lifestyle, you generally make better financial decisions. Splurge purchases don't happen as much on average.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where were we?
We're talking about
Health.
health and good financial decisions.
Yes. Yeah. Did you know that the brain relies more on the gut than the gut on the brain?
Please explain.
So there's this connection called the vagus nerve. It's like, think of it as a highway.
Okay.
And there's trucks delivering information and nutrients to each one. But most of the nutrients and information comes from the gut to the brain and to everything else. This is the central hub for nutrients, transportation.
Mm-hmm.
It's all through the blood. It goes through the
Eating
probiotics, from the prebiotics that we eat to the probiotics, which is a healthy bacteria, and it goes through the blood barrier into the veins, and it goes transported to everything. So yeah, exercise helps transport more blood into all the parts of the body, and that's how it helps to decrease inflammation and make you feel better, because you just have more nutrients everywhere.
Yeah, I definitely have noticed that.
Mm-hmm. So that's why we like to go on bikes and go really hard, because the harder you go, the more blood that you transport.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what made you choose me to help work on your credit?
I was in a bad spot. I was in debt. My credit score was really low, and I know you were just really beginning the start of your business. I think I remember you were picking out your name when we first started Planet Money Habits, and we talked about different ones at that point. So very early in your stage, and I think just hearing how knowledgeable you were, even in at that time period, I knew you could definitely help. So and it some of the things worked right away. It's like some of the disputing, and I mean, I know I made the decision to, I think, pay off a car loan at that time. That was like that was COVID time when and it just slowly started. My credit started to go back up. I mean, this was a good time period for cryptocurrency. So my finances were improving. Just kind of month by month, maybe year by year, I should say, in the crypto world, month by month. I mean, it's sometimes it's getting more stable. So you're not going to have some of these really wild runs.
Yeah. I wish we had more of those, because the more volatile it is, the more potential for growth. Yes, it
Definitely
goes down
catches
a lot,
more headlines.
but that's the opportunity. When it goes down to keep buying.
Yeah.
The technology is great.
I mean, I wish it went up 10% every day, but you gotta look at it like, should it just go up all the time, or should there be some bad days? And there's always gonna be bad days, obviously. But like theoretically, if it always went up, you could say that it was overvalued or inflationary or whatever. And that's just kind of the checks and balances within the financial world, No one asset's really going to take the cake in the grand scheme of life. I mean, Bitcoin is just one asset within one industry at the end of the day.
And they're all assets are driven by the same force.
Right. Supply demand at the end of the day.
And human psychology.
Right. Well, the events that happen in world and human psychology are behind those events, and then the reaction of an event. So there's always new information that comes out on a daily basis, regarding whatever it is. I mean, stocks have their earnings, products have celebrity endorsements, things happen, and new information happens, and investors react, and that is financial markets.
Yeah. So how is a person going to react? Is it going to react and do something based on information, or is it going to just analyze and back?
There's always like a cause and effect type of thing in financial markets, and that's so one thing. I know I have a background in finance, and I have a college education in finance and accounting, so I feel like the theoretical side of it is always, it's information that drives the world. It's information that happens when a new event happens, and something could happen in the Middle East and it would affect oil prices instantly. A tanker could sink or something, and that could cause a war, and then offsets, the energy industry as a whole, and there's always a cause and effect of everything. Then politics gets in play, and all the relationships of all the businessmen, and it's interesting how some of these assets move. Sometimes you don't know why they're going up or down, or when you watch on some of the trading reports, why it goes up 1 cent, goes down 1 cent. Sometimes it's nothing, sometimes it's something.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just how life has evolved to this point, and that's what I mean. It's the advancement of humanity through numbers, and with technology kind of advancing it. It's interesting. Yeah. That's always been my take on finance.
What would you say about, or I keep saying credit repair service, but we do so much more. It's like, our goal is not to...
Financial coach.
Yeah, our goal is not to repair your credit. It's to improve your finances through credit and through other things.
Right.
It's like one thing that we haven't done with you is to help you pay less on your bills.
Yes.
And it's through what bills? Like internet, cable, phone,
Yeah.
garbage,
Yeah.
and security. And those are things that you don't have to fix your credit for that to go down. There's a company called Bill Shark that I really like. There's a bunch of them, but they're one
cool.
of the best. And if they negotiate whatever they negotiate from your bill, you only pay 30%.
So they do like I'm ready to negotiate or I'm gonna leave type of thing. And
I don't
then
know what days.
because I've had this happen, like on for something like my secure ADT.
Mm-hmm.
I made a change in my ADT membership, and they were offering me lower amounts, and it was I just kept saying like no, and it was just a lower amount after a lower amount. They do that.
I think they do that and then some.
Okay,
because
wow.
they do this every single day for a bunch of people.
And that's legal for these companies to work on your behalf if you have an agreement, right?
Yeah. You sign up through online, sign the agreements, you put your debit card number, your payment method, so that they know that you're gonna pay once they do the work. They're really good at their work. If they don't get anything done, for some reason, you don't pay anything.
Wow,
But it doesn't take any time from you. You just upload a picture of the bill, all the bills that you have,
wow.
and they negotiate everything. So it's like
never heard of that before.
And you know what's the best part that I really like? It's like once you settle once, they do it every year.
Really? Wow.
Automatically. So it's like you're always getting the best price for what you already have to pay. It's like you can't live nowadays with internet.
Have you used the service?
Yeah.
How did it work for you?
Great. I love it. It saved us like $700.
Really?
In this house.
Wow.
At Nora's house, it saved some other. And that was just one bill.
Cool.
But you have, now that you're a homeowner, it's like.
Yeah, I gotta think.
Have more.
I gotta think about this. That's a good point.
Well, what is there to think?
No, I gotta think where I can even save.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta imagine because Hulu's pretty. If they can call Hulu and negotiate with Hulu, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't know if they do negotiate on subscription. They
but
do
internet,
for businesses. Yeah. For businesses, they negotiate
really?
subscription.
I can imagine. Well, businesses are always like usually higher. They're always a higher number because they usually have like multiple TVs or computers, whatever they need to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually always a higher number with like a business, consultant.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah.
I wonder if there's a service for consumers that negotiates subscriptions because we have many. There's Netflix, there's YouTube, there's
I doubt
Spotify.
I doubt it. Those are like stapled.
Right?
Prices.
And they're so, it's like, yeah, I don't know. But if you can negotiate on services.
That'd be interesting.
And those other things are services too. Music, YouTube, which is video entertainment, it's like that's negotiable. Everything in life is negotiable. I don't know what they do exactly, but I know they're great. They always negotiate every single bill, even if it's by $10. It's like, and sometimes they negotiate so much that it's a high bill, because they save you $1,000, it's $300.
Oh wow!
But you're winning at the end of the day.
You definitely
the majority.
are winning. Yeah.
It's like you're gonna feel it the next month. It's like, oh wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But through your credit score, can negotiate. You can lower everything that has a percentage, an interest rate, any loan or credit card, and car insurance. If you're related to that, life insurance, medical, any type of insurance, rental insurance, home insurance, all insurance, because they incorporate the credit score into their calculation for the risk that you represent for them, the risk of you doing a claim. So, yeah, it's like there's multiple ways of reducing expenses with credit and without credit.
Did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How would you recommend or say about our services? How has your experience been?
I'm positive, always positive. Every time I speak with you about credit, you always seem to have more to talk about. And I mean, you're always helpful. I think you're definitely someone who takes, an interest in someone immediately, and especially when there's need that you can help with. And I think that's something that you have always done with me.
Yeah, I don't know how to give half of me or like not do a good job. It's like I always want to do above and beyond and see. It's like if I was a magician, what would I do? And I research on those things, and there's always a solution that I have to. Oh, I have no idea.
Right. Yeah. It's seemingly definitely within finances and budget, and credit. There's usually always a reason for something that happens, and or there's a solution always, or a way that you can get to a solution. So, yeah.
Yeah. How do you see a relationship benefiting you in the future?
I know I talked about this earlier. I would love to get to a point where I'm using my credit to kind of either profit or to just, I haven't used it in a while. I know we kind of fixed my credit score for a while, and I did work on my budget, but I mean, I'm in a no debt situation. I would love to have an ability to use debt, and hopefully for something not too ridiculous or over the top, but in something like an investment property, or if I were to start a business somehow using a business loan. It's something I still am open towards for the rest of my life. That could happen any year, so I think those if those situations do arise, how can we kind of tackle them? And that'd be great. Kind of learn.
Yeah, setting up a business, even if you don't have like a business idea or service in mind, like will benefit you very much through the protections that it offers.
Right. That aspect as well. Yeah, all the LLC aspects.
And all the tax benefits that come with it. Because if you do your cryptocurrency investment through a business and retirement accounts, it's like
that's all something I do not know much about.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to it. There's a lot of information behind that stuff.
Yeah, there is. But there's a great benefit of combining what you already know, which is cryptocurrency, and using credit and business credit to do more.
Right. Do more. That's, definitely.
Yeah, because that's your strength, like for what? 10 years minimum. So, yeah, use your strengths to keep growing and advancing. Definitely. Did you have any other questions or?
I do not.
Ending remarks?
I do not. Where are the empanadas?
Where are the empanadas? I forgot to bring you empanadas.
We can go get some.
Yes. But yesterday you had what was it? The chickpeas.
Yeah, that was great. That was really good.
Yeah.
The chickpea. That was really good.
Yeah.
Chickpea like stoop.
Yeah.
Yep.
I gave him chickpeas without me trying them. I was gonna eat them, but I brought them to my office, but I had to work, and we were gonna go for a bike ride. And when I went downstairs, I gave him some to try, without me tasting it. And then it's like, yeah, they're really good. They're really good. I asked him if he wanted more, and I guess he was a little shy. He's like,
I was a little
I'm
shy to
good.
ask
I'm
for.
good.
I was.
But then I tried. He's like, holy shit, these are really good.
So we had to get another
And
one.
then he grabbed the bowl right from my hand.
It was really good.
And then I had to get another bowl. But yeah, it was good. Thank you for my grandma.
Yes. Thank you, Grandma.
All right, buddy.
All right, man.
Thank you for being here, taking the time to share with us your knowledge and your experience.
Thank you for having me. Cool.
My pleasure.